Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Chelsea Hansen, psychologist and mom to a child on the autism spectrum. We're going through so much right now. Everyone is homeschooling, everything's closed. It's just a tough time for families, and it's really difficult for special needs families because our kids are not getting services in the school system that they're used to receiving. So I've gotten a lot of emails from parents asking me, how can I help my children's speech at home? What can I do without speech therapy during this time? So this is a tough question to answer because every child is at a different place developmentally with all different speech goals. So I came up with some specific strategies that will work with any child, and you can begin incorporating them in your homes immediately. The first tip I have for you is to follow any instructions that were sent home from your child's teacher or speech language pathologist. I've talked to a lot of parents whose kids are in special education courses, and many of them have received some type of guidance from the teacher or therapist, so I'd encourage you to utilize that. If you haven't heard from the teacher or therapist and you don't think you will be getting that information, then go back through your child's individualized education plan or IEP, and then look at the goals that were set for your child. Hopefully you were involved in creating those goals, but make sure that you're working on what they were working on in school so that your child can continue to progress. The next tip I have for you is to narrate your day. So there was this enormous speech study. This is one of the biggest speech studies and very insightful, where they actually took a look at speech in the homes of children from lower socioeconomic status households and children in higher socioeconomic status households who were children of college professors. And they looked at what was different in each home because the children of the college professors had the most words. And what they found, they sat in these homes all day and they looked at who was in the home, how much television the kids were watching, everything. And they found that the biggest factor, the biggest difference between those two homes was the number of words spoken in the home. We learn observationally, so if we can narrate our day and describe what we're doing using a lot of language, a lot of different words, our kids are learning. And we don't have to just do this with infants. You know, I've read so many books that suggest that you narrate what you're doing to your infants, but we can do this for all throughout childhood because it's really helpful. So when I'm cooking dinner, I'll explain, okay, I need these ingredients, this is what I need to get out. Okay, we're making pesto, so we're gonna use basil. What does this smell like? Look at this green basil. We're gonna use garlic. What do you think of this smell? I'm gonna put it in the food processor. I'm gonna add some olive oil. Just kind of describing everything, and it seems sometimes a little bit over the top, but just when you think about it, narrate what you're doing. We can't do this all the time, but the more you can do it and the more words you speak to your child, they're learning. Don't be discouraged if your child is nonverbal because we're learning even if the child can't talk yet. We always want to use the word yet. So if the child can't talk, he or she can't talk yet, it's important to just describe what we're doing. So the more you remember to do that and the more words you can speak in your home, the more your child will learn language. And it's a great bonding experience for us with our kids too. So try to narrate your day. The next tip I have for you is something called the close strategy. So the close strategy is where when we are speaking, we leave room for a pause to try to get the other person to respond. So I'm gonna do this right now with you. Peanut butter and salt and ready, set. So you probably filled in those words for me, and what you wanna do with your child is try to leave some pause when you want them to say the word. So ready, set, and you may want to wait 3 to 4 seconds, and then if they don't respond, just say go and fill it in for them. You can also use the close strategy when you're reading a familiar book to your child. If you feel that your child can jump in and say the word, just leave that pause and wait for them to say it. You also want to use repetition. Repetition is one of the most important strategies for retaining information. So when we're teaching our kids words, we want to say them as often as possible. So if you're teaching your child the word red, for example, you want to point out every red thing in your house. Red, red, red. And just say it as often as you can throughout the day because they are going to learn that way. That's just one of the most helpful learning strategies is repetition. I also want to talk to you about books. Of course, it's recommended that you read to your child. This can really help their speech, but I want to speak with you about specific strategies while you're reading that can help even more. So I have this example of the Plains book, and I can just go through and read the book to my child, and that's fine, just read the words. But another way that your child can learn is by using the repetition tip I gave to point out, instead of just reading the words, I can say cloud, 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 and just go through and point out the objects with that repetition in mind. I can also point out any other objects. I can ask the child questions to make predictions if your child is a little bit more advanced, in addition to just reading the story. So, and you can also use books to teach prepositions. So this plane is up, this plane is over the trees, and just keep going with that to sort of describe what you're seeing, use repetition, and read as many books to your child as you can with those strategies. Another tip I have for you is to teach your child to follow 1 or 2-step directions depending on their developmental level. If your child can already follow a 1-step direction, for example, put your shoes in the shoe bench, and your child just does that, then you may want to build up to 2-step directions. Once they master 2-step directions, build up to 3-step directions, and so forth. So you can incorporate prepositions with your directions as well, teaching them over, under, next to. So, put the book on top of your bookshelf, put the book under your pillow, and so forth. So if you do a 2-step direction, it could be something like, put the book on the bookshelf and bring me another book. That's a 2-step direction. As your child masters those, again, you can make it more and more complex, but that's something to work on while you're home. I hope this was helpful to you. If it was, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share it with a friend. There are so many people who are really looking for strategies right now. Put your strategies in the comments down below of what to do without therapists currently. We all need each other's support, and I want this community to help each other out, and we can share ideas. If you have questions for me, please send them, and I am happy to support you in any way that I can. And I'll see you in the next video.